Ajnanantimirandasya jnanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste, my name is Swami Chidananda and welcome to the Science of Yogic Philosophy course. In the next upcoming modules, we're going to speak a lot about the origins of yoga and also many different terms that are used in daily yoga practices, such as what is karma, what is dharma, how to do our duty in the best way. In this specific module, we're going to speak a lot about where did these teachings originally come from. So if I were to ask you the question, who are you? And you were to reflect on this question, a lot of times you might say, I am Swami, or I am Carol, or I am Bob. But then the question becomes, who is this Swami? Who is this Bob? Who is this Carol? Are you the same person that you were 10 years ago? Are you even the same person that you were 5 minutes ago? Not only is your body changing and evolving, but also your patterns, what you like, what you dislike, is constantly transforming as well. So when we deeply reflect, that which we think we are is in constant flux. But there is something beyond the limited self, which is said to be eternal, which is said to be unchanging. So this quest of who am I really, what is my eternal nature, was the questions that were asked by yogis for thousands and thousands of years. And as they would navigate the question, they tried to find the answer in the world. But no matter where they looked, no matter where they searched, they could not find it. So they started to go within themselves. And through years and years of deep meditation and reflection, the answer started to spontaneously arise within themselves. And these answers came in the form of frequency, of vibration. And these vibrations held the truth of their eternal nature. And these vibrations is not something that we can talk about. It's not something that we can read in a book. It has to be something that is experienced from within oneself. These vibrations that were heard by these great yogis started to take the form of mantras or hymns or shlokas, describing the world as we know it and who we truly are. And these hymns and these mantras were then shared by these great yogis to other sincere spiritual seekers. So the tradition became that if I knew that somebody has attained the truth, I would go to them in humility, in sincerity, and ask to be taught. And in return, the yogi would then give the teachings to help us realize that truth within ourselves as well. And this is the tradition of what we refer to as sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means the path towards the eternal truth. So it's the set of mantras that we chant, it's the philosophy that we study, and it's how we live our daily life, all put together, which constitutes Sanatana Dharma. And these different teachings given by different yogis is what we refer to as yogic systems. So a lot of times we think that yoga is just the asana or the physical aspect. But in reality, yoga is defined as union, to come together, to understand our eternal self. So yoga compromises of the mantras, the philosophy, the asanas, and how we do our duty or dharma. And when we put all of these together, they make a system that we can practice to realize who we truly are. So when we speak about yoga, we should see it from the perspective of this will help me to realize my eternal self. And within Sanatana Dharma, there are many yoga systems. Each yogi would realize the truth within themselves in a slightly unique manner. It is said that the truth is one, but the wise describe it in many ways. And in the same way, we all have different attributes and qualities. So some of us might like chocolate ice cream. Some of us might like strawberry ice cream. Some of us might not like ice cream at all. So in the same way, access to the truth can be given through various different paths. So within Sanatana Dharma, it's okay if we come across teachings that we feel might contradict each other. And Sanatana Dharma is designed that way. It's to make sure that we never put the eternal truth in a box. It's to make sure that we never become dogmatic. Because we are speaking about divine concepts. And the divine is eternal. It is unknowable. And it even leaves room for inconsistencies. In the West, we like to rationalize everything, right? We like to put everything in a box. This has to make sense. This has to make sense. And both ways should appear externally to be reaching the same truth. But within Sanatana Dharma, on the outskirts, it might look like they're going completely different. But in reality, they're going the same way. So that's very important that there are many, many yoga systems, many, many different ways to approach that one truth of who we are. Now, I keep referring to the term Sanatana Dharma. A lot of times in the West, you might have heard the term Hinduism. So Hinduism is actually a term that was given by invaders that came and crossed the Indus Valley. And so they saw the people of the Indus Valley and they started to refer to them as Hindus. And they started to assign to them the religion of Hinduism. But in reality, the practice of that time was Sanatana Dharma. It was not a religion, but a way of life. And if we do the yoga systems, which will help us to realize our true self. This tradition of Sanatana Dharma was originally given only orally. So as a spiritual seeker, you would go to one of these great yogis and you would sincerely ask to be taught the practices to help us to realize the truth. And these teachings would only be given as an oral tradition. And you had to take it, memorize it, go home, and start to put it to practice. But what started to happen is that over time, the minds of people started to become much weaker. And these great yogis knew that most people would not be able to just take the information orally and put it into practice. So what started to happen was all of this oral knowledge started to be written down into a set of scriptures called the Vedas. So this knowledge that these great yogis heard from within is referred to as Shruti. S-H-R-U-T-I. Shruti means divinely revealed knowledge. It is not knowledge that you can read in a book. It's not knowledge that you've observed around you. It's knowledge that is awoken inside of oneself. So all of this knowledge that was taught by these yogis can be classified as Shruti. So this Shruti knowledge was then compiled into a set of scriptures referred to as the Vedas. And the Vedas make up the framework of Sanatana Dharma. So all teachings within Sanatana Dharma have their roots in the Vedas. And as time went on, even though the Vedas was compiled, it was still very difficult for most people to understand it. And so therefore, great teachers started to give teachings that help us to better understand the Vedas. So if I were to sit here and teach you just the philosophy of the Vedas, you would probably fall asleep in about 5 minutes. And so these great teachers of the last few thousand years knew that we would not be able to fully comprehend the Vedas if we went directly into it. So they started to give teachings that contain the essence of the Vedas. And so these teachings is what we would constitute as the Bhagavad Gita, as Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, as Ashtanga Yoga. So this is not the Vedas. The Vedas can be classified as Shruti, or divinely revealed knowledge, that was given approximately 5,000 years ago by these great yogis. Teachings that came after the Vedas are classified as Smriti, S-M-R-I-T-I. Smriti means knowledge which is remembered. So for example, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras has a specific author. It was given at a certain moment. The Bhagavad Gita has a specific author. It was Krishna that gave it on the Mahabharata. But the Vedas is knowledge that has no specific time. It's been compiled by an author called Veda Vyas. But it's not knowledge that can be dated to a specific time. But scriptures such as the Gita and the Sutras, they have a subscribed author, and it's referred to as Puranic tradition. As we continue along the module, I will speak more about the difference between Vedic knowledge and Puranic knowledge. Puranic knowledge is designed to help us to understand the Vedas, but there are some differences that it's important for us to touch on as we progress through this course. In the next module, I'll speak about also the different yugas and why it was important for us to write down this knowledge, and why the minds of people start to become more and more weak. In this module, I just wanted to cover what is sanatana Dharma, which is the path towards the eternal truth, the idea that yoga systems were created to help us understand who we truly are, and how this knowledge, or Shruti, was written down into a set of scriptures called the Vedas, which make up the framework of sanatana Dharma, and how over time great teachers and scriptures have evolved from the Vedas to better help us to understand this deeper knowledge, and how this knowledge, the Gita, the Sutras, Ashtanga Yoga, and so forth, are classified as Smriti, or that which is remembered. And that knowledge aids us in understanding the truth internally. So I look forward to seeing you in future modules as we go deeper.